I have the Coleman B200 that is now totally street legal. But the only thing is, the bike doesn't have brake light, tail light, or headlight. So in this video, I'm gonna add a brake light, tail light, and a headlight without using the charging coils. So I'm gonna use this 6 amp hour, 12 volt lithium ion battery pack. So this has a 12 volt output and then a 5 volt USB output. So I've used this pack on multiple bikes on the channel with the LED lighting setup, and it lasts a long time. And what's cool about it, it's fused inside, which is nice. Then I made up some brackets so I can rivet it under the seat. Then I have an LED brake light, tail light setup. Then you have the pigtails for output power. Then I have the main lighting switch. And then I have the hydraulic brake handle switch. So this switch bolts underneath the brake handle there to activate the brake light. So when I'm adding lighting to one of these bikes, I usually use this lithium ion battery setup instead of the charging coils, because on most of these bikes, I'm either using a billet or cast flywheel, so it doesn't have the magnets in the flywheel to support the charging coils. Pull the seat off here so I can mount the battery pack under the seat. So I usually will mount this pack on the front here, and then that way, when the seat's back on the bike, it's easy to plug in to charge, and my wire comes out in basically the optimal spot, so it's easy to get to the back here on my mount that I'll put down on this bike. I think I'll drill my mounts about right here. And throw a few rivets in there, and that'll hold it. So I usually add a small piece of Velcro to this battery box just to help with the vibrations and stuff, keep the vibration down, even though I am going to rivet it in. Another cool thing about this battery pack, it has indicators on here to kind of show you how full the battery is, so it's kind of nice. That's nice and tight on there. What's cool about this pack, it's so small. It's nice and compact. Alright. And there's plenty of room under there to plug everything in to charge. So now I'll throw on the brake lever switch. So this switch is held on by one screw under here. Alright, so there is that. So now I'll make a small pigtail to plug into both of these plugs here and then run down. But first, I'll install my light switch here. Okay, so that should work out right there. So before I wire this thing up to my switches there, I'm gonna mount this light back here first. So that way I have everything mounted, battery box and the license plate light and brake light, tail light set up. So I think I use a piece of aluminum here and bolt it to the fender mount there, and then come out and then bend it down. So now I'll bend this so it comes out at an angle there. So I sandwiched a few pieces together just to make this thing nice and sturdy. So instead of bolting it on the fender, I went ahead and put 2 bolts up here on the mount, so it's pretty sturdy. I mean, because it's tripled right here and then doubled here. So there's the finished product. I think it turned out pretty good. It's nice and tucked back here, so the plate's not going to stick out too far. So I think that'll work. Then I made up this pigtail for the switch on the brake handle to plug in. So I don't know, it's about 1.5 feet long. So I have my pigtail plugged in on my switch up under the brake lever. So I got all the wires ran. So I have the black and the red off the brake light switch. And then I have the black and the red off the main switch. Then we have the blue, red, and the black for the tail light, brake light, license plate light combo. So the blue is for the tail light, the red is for the brake light, and then of course the black is ground. Then of course we have the green and blue off of the headlight. So the green is ground and then the blue is hot off the LED headlight. And then we have the red and the black, the positive and negative from the battery. So I'll hook up all this stuff temporarily at first. So we have a few circuits to hook up. So I'm going to temporarily hook this circuit together, the tail light, the headlight, to the switch, and then the battery. So I have the red and black from the switch on the handlebar. So I'm going to hook the red from the switch to the red on the battery. And then the black from the switch is going to hook to the blue on the tail light, because the blue wires for the tail light. And then I'm going to hook black from the tail light to black on the battery. So there we go. From the switch to red on the battery, and then from black on the switch to blue on the light, because blue is for the tail light, and then black from the tail light going back to the battery. So now we should have a tail light. So let me turn the switch on here, and we have a tail light. So now I should be able to hook my headlight to that same circuit. So the switch will run both the headlight and the taillight. So I'm going to run blue to blue on the taillight, and then run green, which is ground, to black on the battery. So we connect blue to blue, and then green from the headlight to black on the tail light. So now when we hit the switch, we should have a tail light and a headlight. So we got a tail light, then we have a headlight. And what's nice about this setup, it is super simple and there's no need to wire in a relay, because it pulls minimal amperage with these LED lights. I mean, very little. So I'm going to connect one wire, or the red wire, off the switch, off the brake handle switch, to the hot side of the battery, or the red side of the battery. So we have power up to that switch. And then the black wire, or the other wire off the switch, is going to hook to the brake light side, the red wire off the brake light, tail light, license plate light combo. So this circuit will have power all the time, so you don't have to have the switch on for the brake light to work. So now we should have brake light when I pull the brake handle. So now we have brake light. And that's with the switch off. So now you turn the switch on, and you should have tail light and brake light. Turn the switch off, and we just have brake light. So I have the switch on the right side, but you can run a switch on either side, the left side, for the brake light. So another cool thing about this setup is you have the lights on, your tail light and headlight. you can disarm the entire system from underneath on the box itself because it has a switch under here, so you can turn everything off. And another cool thing about it is you can unplug the entire battery box if you want to pull the seat to get to everything. So now it's a lot easier for me to wire everything. And to permanently connect everything, I'm going to use these solder seal wire connectors. So these things are really easy to use. Put some shrink wrap on here. Okay, so I got my wires all ran to the front, shrink wrapped all the way up and up to the switches. So we got a nice clean installation there. So now I will wire it up back here. So you can use a little torch with these connectors, but a lighter works just fine if that's all you have. Still hot enough to melt the solder on here. Yeah, like I said, a torch would work, but if all you have is a lighter, it'll work too. So I got all the wiring cleaned up, and the bike will still actually steer, but the wires don't get too tight. So now let me plug this in and make sure that it all still works. All right, so we got the battery armed. So let me turn the switch on here. Tail light. Let's see if we have brake light. And brake light. So nice and simple to install, and it lasts for, I know, quite a few hours. I've had this set up on a couple other bikes on the channel, and I've taken it out for multiple rides over hours, and the pack was still pretty full when I got back, so it definitely lasts quite a while. Yeah, I've had the same setup on this bike over here for about, what, a year and a half, 2 years now? And this battery is still powerful. I mean, it lasts hours. And what's nice about these packs, even if you do have to replace one, they're only like 30 bucks. So definitely an easy lighting setup. I mean, it's a good alternative to using the coil packs if you don't have a stock flywheel, or if you're running a billet flywheel or cast flywheel.